Hello, my name is Pooja. Welcome to a new episode of Around the World. Whenever we think of the Scandinavian countries, certain characteristics and features come to mind. Scandinavians are people who have a high standard of living and who believe in peace and composite culture and humanitarian ideologies like global peace, democracy, demilitarization, and disarmament. Despite this, Sweden and Finland have applied for membership in the military organization NATO, that is, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, although Hungary and Turkey have not yet agreed on making these two Nordic countries members of NATO, as Turkey has accused Sweden of harboring Kurdish rebels and expressed its objections to the membership of Sweden and Finland. But most probably, both countries will agree on granting NATO membership to Sweden and Finland by the end of 2023. Today, we will know about the reasons which are nudging the countries which have refrained from militarization for years to join the military organization. We will also understand why NATO membership is relevant even in the 21st century. We will also know about the negative aspect of NATO's membership expansion. Sweden and Finland applied for NATO membership in May 2022. On the contrary, Norway, which falls in the Scandinavian group, has been a founding member of NATO since 1949. But Sweden and Finland till now not only refrained from joining any military organization like NATO, but also made demilitarization the core element of their foreign policy. Significantly, Sweden and Finland are the only sovereign states in Northern Europe that are not members of NATO. Notably, Finland shares a long land border with Russia, and Sweden connects to the Russian border through the Baltic Sea. After the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Sweden and Finland also fear Russian invasion, as these two countries had opposed the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Furthermore, even though both these countries believe in military neutrality, these are supporters of NATO and its member states in the eyes of Russia. Therefore, Sweden and Finland feel that they are most at risk of the Russian aggression after Ukraine. In this regard, both countries believe that NATO membership will not only ensure national security and stability in the Euro-Atlantic region, but also protect the interests of Swedish and Finnish citizens. However, some experts hold that both these countries were already planning to get NATO membership. Ukraine crisis is just an excuse. Whatever the reasons, the membership application of these two Nordic countries have given rise to new debates. In such a situation, it becomes imperative to understand the relevance of NATO. NATO, formed in April 1949 under the leadership of the US, is based on the collective security doctrine. It means that an attack by a non-NATO member country on a NATO member country will be considered an attack on all the members of the group, and all of them will collectively respond to any such attack. For instance, NATO greatly helped the US in stopping the geographical expansion of the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Notably, almost all the members of NATO were not only European but also the closest neighbors of Russia. Actually, these countries were acting as a bridge for the US to reach the Russian border, due to which Soviet Russia had to struggle in its own territory. However, it was not the case that only the United States and its allies formed a military organization. Soviet Russia had also formed a military organization with its allies named the Warsaw Pact. The Warsaw Pact was established in 1955 and ended in 1991 with the disintegration of Soviet Russia. However, NATO has not only remained in existence till now but is also expanding itself. A question is often raised that when we have reached the 21st century, where human life is being defined in a comprehensive sense, where we are discussing the expansion of human rights and where global peace is a priority, then such military organizations should not exist at all. However, experts believe that world peace is a myth and power struggle between states is the ultimate truth. They have believed that NATO is not an organization established for peace but only a tool of some dominant states for power expansion. Significantly, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has once again raised the realist character of the states on the global stage, and the world is again divided into two camps, like in the Cold War era. The only difference is that today's sovereign states are masquerading as democratic states and are demonstrating their power in the guise of supporting the independence and sovereignty of Ukraine. Actually, the Ukraine conflict is also the result of the expansion of NATO. where the US and the European countries intend to make Ukraine a member of NATO to expand their power and influence. However, Russia is opposing Ukraine's inclusion in NATO to protect its territorial sovereignty and border security. Against this backdrop, a pertinent question arises: will the nations advocating democracy be able to protect freedom, sovereignty, and principles by becoming members of an organization like NATO? Actually, no nation can make full use of its sovereignty by becoming a member of a military organization, because military organizations like NATO cannot be a symbol of freedom, equality, and democracy. In this regard, an example of NATO member countries, France, Germany, Turkey, etc., can be taken, which do not fully agree with the US and British policies against Russia. But these countries cannot exercise their independent foreign policy practices as they are bounded by the limitations of NATO. Apart from this, due to the expansion of military organizations like NATO, other military organizations will also be formed, which will not only increase factionalism amongst the nations, but also increase the conflict. Obviously, this factionalism would not be in the human interest in any way. However, history tells us that military factionalism has harmed not only the present but also many future generations of human beings. Therefore, world countries should respect each other's sovereignty and reject the existence of any military bloc. That's all in this episode. Let's note down the question based on today's story. What could be the consequences of NATO's membership expansion in view of current global politics? Analyze.